Hello, everybody. This is Dan O'Connor, and my brother Marty O'Connor is joining us. Say hi, Mart.
Hey, how are you?
So, so we're going to be answering some questions today, and I apologize if you were looking for Elizabeth. We're going to be doing a live with Elizabeth on Thursday, so that you can get your questions answered, and we can talk more about what those red flags are and what to do when you see them that signal a toxic person. So, Mart, ready?
I really apologize if you're expecting Elizabeth and you got me. So I just wanted to start
Yeah,
out with
nothing
that.
like Elizabeth.
Just wanted to start out with that. Yeah, exactly.
So, Mart, why don't we do this? While we are getting fired up,
Yeah,
why don't we start out with some viewer questions? What do you say?
sure,
from our
sure.
channel?
Well, yeah, there was one that I was curious about when I was reading. I'm not sure. I think I kind of understand. They're talking about one of your techniques called the look, and I think it has to do in reference with somebody that maybe puts you on the spot. But I'll read the question and then you tell me what. Just here's the question. So one of your viewers said, "I successfully deployed some of your techniques this weekend at my 50th high school reunion." Yeah, Star
Okay.
Bill was regaling. Is that how you say
Regaling,
that?
I bet.
Regaling a few guys with some off-color stories. He pulled me into the conversation and said, "Terry, do you remember that time you started describing something scandalous? The other guys moved closer, anticipating something juicy, but before he could continue, I instinctively gave him, and this is what I think I'm talking about, the look in silence. The other guys suddenly looked at their shoes, and that's it. So,
What else did? Okay, I think what she's talking about is
yeah,
when people put you on the spot in front of other people and try to take you off guard by telling something off color about you. It sounds like that's what was going on. And I think when she was referring to the look, she was referring to like what I happened to reference, but it's not an official tactic, as like Maggie's Ice Queen look. You know Maggie, Marty, my dog.
Maggie dog, yeah.
Maggie the dog.
Familiar.
Yes. In fact, she was just giving it to somebody today, where when a dog is about to pounce on you, they will look at you with their shoulders back, they turn their head straight forward, and they just look right at you with no fear. They're not moving. They're not, it appears, breathing. And that signals they've got their focus set on you. And so I believe that's what she's talking about, which is different from the 3-second look, which is what, grandma would give us when we would tell a story about where we were, and instead of saying that is not true, she would just simply look at us and go, and then we just start babbling out more stuff until we eventually hang ourselves. So that was, I believe, the look.
I'm trying to. So there's when you're going back to Maggie, though, it feels as if like the next step with Maggie is to bite you.
It is. So the look that I did not, it's not an official look. It's just what I happened to reference one time as like the Ice Queen stare, where when you want somebody to know, I've got you in my sights, you want to turn towards them, face them shoulders to shoulders, keep your chin up, because I believe she mentioned something about keeping her chin up. Here's the look that I'm talking about. You want to face somebody, shoulders back, keep your chin up, your eyes open, but not too much, because you don't want to expose the whole iris of your eyes. And you just look at them very confidently without saying anything and without turning your head sideways, tilting it at all. Because when you tilt your head, that gives away, people might not know it at a conscious level, but on a subconscious level, it gives away the fact that we are feeling passive or vulnerable, because that's what a dog does. If Maggie, for example, were to be staring at you and then went like this, you wouldn't be scared of her. You'd be like, "Oh, honey, what's going on?" Right? Because that's sending a signal. Woof,
Gotcha.
right? Yeah. Like, what's going? Don't be afraid of me. I'm being passive. Which is why if I want to put a child at ease, you tap them on the shoulder and tilt your head to the side and be like, "Do you know what your parents' phone number is?" Instead of like if we were to go at them face, head forward and say, "What's your parents' number?" That means they're in trouble. So that head tilt gives a lot of us away if you are a more passive communicator. So that's, I think, what she was talking about. But the point is, for all of us who find ourselves in these situations where we are taken off guard and we suddenly lose our words and our thoughts, and we start to struggle finding the words, you have to practice so that it comes out automatically. You can't really stop and think about it in the moment. You really have to practice. And then it becomes automatic, where you just start saying stuff, and those words flow from the time that you spent beforehand watching or going over your flashcards, looking at your visual cues. That all comes into play when you need it in that moment. But you can't just stop in the moment and think, oh, what did I learn in a class? What did I hear in a audio? That's not how it works. So I think that that's key. But tell whoever it was who sent that message that I'm very grateful for it, and thank you.
When you when I wanted to just ask you then, elaborating on that, because I don't know the last time you talked about it. When you talk about the reason that you're practicing, just in a general sense of what it means to respond versus react. When's the last time you've talked about that?
I don't know.
So that's a really older. I mean, it's one of the things it's a foundational technique. It's a foundation that I think
principle.
Yeah. And so I'm curious if you haven't talked about it, if you can just elaborate a little bit, because you were talking just a minute ago about we're practicing these things so that we can respond. And why are we responding? Because we don't want to react.
Yeah, when you react, so that's a good point. Thanks, Bart. When you say the first thing into the brain and the first thing out of the mouth, that tends to be coming from emotions, and our heart tricks us and betrays us all the time. Like when you're talking about how you feel at the moment, when you fall in love, for example, you are under the influence of drugs and you are literally hallucinating and seeing things that are not there. You're thinking that you're somebody that you are not. And so instead of coming from that place of reacting, which is what most people do, first thing into the brain, first thing out of the mouth, we have to remember the first thing into the brain is generally going to be the worst thing out of our mouth. What we want to do is have things prepared so that in that moment we can make smart decisions. Because you know how when it's all said and done, our life is really a culmination of the decisions that we have made in our life. And when we are deciding between that moment between event and response, and we're formulating how we're going to handle the situation, how we're going to respond to it, in that sliver in time, we only might have a second to really decide what we're going to say. But it's those people who have prepared in advance for that moment in time when we cannot prepare and don't know something's coming, that makes all the difference. Because what really the trick is you want to be very secure in who you are. If you were to ask most people, for example, Marty, I think you know the answers to this, but if I were to say, who are you? If I were to say, who are you, Marty? Like, fill in the blanks. Give me 3 adjectives that describe you.
Adjectives?
Yeah, like I am patient. I am what? No. Who are you?
I am loud. But I mean, one of them's a noun and is my favorite. I am a dad, right? So I do dad things.
What kind of dad are you? That's a good point. What kind of dad are you?
Oh, okay. So what kind of dad am I? I think compassionate.
Compassionate or passionate?
Compassionate.
Okay.
I think that I would tend to be listening. Is that
okay?
Is that a adjective?
You're attentive. You're like
okay. I'm attentive. I like that one. So what was the first one?
Compassionate.
Compassionate, attentive, and I think just overall loving.
Loving. That's my favorite one. Okay. So Marty has decided right now. See, a lot of people, they try to make their personal mission statement, and it's a drag, and it takes so long.
Yeah.
They never do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you had a class, didn't you, when you were in college, about making a personal mission statement?
Yes.
Do you remember what it is?
No.
No, who does? Like, that's I believe a big waste of most people's time, because we're not going to remember it. It's a huge drag, and you're not going to be able to recite it in that moment between event and response. But if you have decided what I'm going to work on, like that's who I want to be in an ideal world, is a compassionate and attentive and a loving father. All difficult people, their job is to show up and help us be that person, because they think, oh, you want to be compassionate and attentive. Why don't you try being that with me, somebody who's showing you none of that? And so if we can recognize that in the moment and think, wait a minute, this is just an opportunity. And we remember, we don't have to remember a whole statement. All we have to remember is I'm supposed to be a compassionate, a loving, and an attentive person, not just father, but that's who I am. That's who I am anywhere. So we want to remember that before we speak. And we'll want to remember, we want to think of 3 words, like why we're here. Why are you on the planet, Mart?
God, this is really getting to be something.
See, most people can't answer these questions, but they're really basic, right? We just never take the time to do it for ourselves.
They're really basic, or they're really fundamental?
Maybe fundamental is correct word?
Oh, I mean, I just like basic. I've never considered myself a basic bitch, but if you're asking me, why was I put on this earth? I think it's to love, protect, and correct. How do you
Oh,
like that?
correct. Oh, wow. Okay.
That's-
That makes a lot of
I'm just
sense.
like,
I believe you. Okay. Love, correct, and protect. Okay.
sure.
Okay. So, and
I
what do
don't
you
know.
want?
That's what happens. I mean, I think, like, for example, as a white person, we have a duty and a responsibility to fight racism. So we're trying to correct. As a dad, I'm trying to protect. Huh?
That's right. I'm
Yeah,
so
well,
proud of
I mean, I'm just
Marty.
giving you my stuff. Thank you.
Yeah. You know, Marty, what did you study when you were in college?
Business management with an emphasis on organization.
But didn't you also study like the history of women or something like that?
Oh, yeah. So at my first two, yeah, I've got the first. Yes, I've got the first certificate given
associate's
to
degree?
a man. Yes, right. Well, it's a women's studies certificate, which was a subsection of my.
You were the first man to receive that?
Yes. Well, it hadn't been that long.
Oh, Marty, I'm so proud of him. Okay, so that's who I've got as a brother. So he's all about fighting for the underdogs. That makes sense to me. Okay. So what do you want out of life then? 3 words.
I think, in the words of Elvis Costello, I could go with peace, love, and understanding. But I think more than anything, I would want to see justice. I want to see justice.
Well, no, like for you, I want, for example, for me, I want financial stability, financial independence.
Oh, okay.
What do you want?
What do I want? Okay. Well, I've hit 51, so I kind of feel like a lot of those things are all just sort of.
You are old.
Yeah, that's right. I think you waited until I was older than you, again, to put me on the show.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So I, what do I want out of life for me personally?
Yeah, like what are you working for right now?
Words that I can use, like travel.
For example, you want to. That's, I guess so. You want to travel, sure.
I want to broaden my horizons. I want to see the world. Okay. So what are the things I want out of life? I want
financial.
I want to share my life with my wife. Is that one of them? Can that be right?
You want maybe? Well, for example, I want financial independence. I want peace. I want and I want a beautiful environment.
Yeah.
So the purpose is everything I say and do, I'm either getting a little bit closer to that or I'm going a little bit farther from that. And so, if every word I speak is bringing me towards that or away from that. So what are the things you want?
Okay. So if we're thinking about the things that I'm moving towards, okay. So I want somehow in there, I want to be physically active.
Okay. So you want physical fitness.
Health.
You want health?
Health. Okay. I want health. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's probably pretty common. So yeah, but
I didn't put it.
Okay. I want to be, good point. I can tell. I want to be, no, I'm joking, but I want to be healthy as I want to be as much in control of my health as I can.
These are going to be nouns. You want radiant health. I want
radiant,
optimum health.
Now it's nouns. Okay. I want radiant health. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Health will be fine. Any type of health is really quite okay.
Okay, so number 2.
Yes, financials. I like having fun. I'm happy
financial independence.
Sure.
Okay.
Or no worries. And then I want to keep learning.
You want knowledge. Okay, so that's the deal. Now Marty's done.
To be happy.
Okay, great. So now Marty's done. He's got his 3 I am statements.
I feel like I was working on something here with you.
Yeah, he's like, you can, in that sliver in time between event and response, when you're at the airport and you're about to lose it with the ticket counter lady or man, I should say woman or man, or you're at, you're talking to your son and you're about to lose it with him because he's pushed it to the point of breaking, or your wife. I'm sure you every day want to, say things that really aren't about you. So before you speak, the reaction mode would be to say, screw it. I'm just going to say what's on my mind because you need to hear it. If I'm thinking it, you must need to hear it. And you must need this message. And I'm just the messenger. So I'm going to tell it. And people start saying crazy things, which then later on we think and say, I'm sorry. I don't know why I said that because you were crazy. But if you take a moment in time and you have throughout the day looked at your personal compass, which you just made. So now it's done. And you remind yourself throughout the day, hey, wait a minute. I'm a compassionate person. I'm here. Oh, I'm a compassionate, attentive, loving person. I'm here to love, to correct and protect, and I want financial independence and health and what was the third one?
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Is what I'm about to say going to bring me further or closer to all of those things that I just said? Is it going to express the patient person I am, or is it going to bring me closer to the health that I want? And if not, you can change course. Like right there, that one tool is going to change people's lives, because instead of just, because people will ask, how do I in the moment try to remember who I am? How do I, instead of react, response? The words that we speak are the form of our message, but form comes from substance. The substance of the message is who we are. And the words just follow form, or follow the, the form follows that substance. And so if we never take time to remember who we are, how could we possibly speak words that are reflective of that? And so what people do is instead they just speak words that reflect the psychopaths around them, and they reflect the, their narcissist boss, and they let other people dictate what the substance of their message is. And so they're in a constant cycle of regret, because what they're saying isn't reflective of who they are to begin with. How could they possibly honor themselves and therefore those around them? It's an impossibility if you're not clear as to what your substance is. So that is the real difference between react and response. And once you do that and you get past that first step, then the possibilities are endless, because now you can form tactics so that in the moment you've already cleared who you are. You've got that down. It's someplace where you can see it visibly all day long, so that then you can decide what words you can speak. And even if you forget all your words, as long as you're clear as to what the substance is, your words will take shape more naturally. But I think so that you're
responding.
That is the difference between responding and reacting, where in the moment, even those people who are totally taken off guard, as long as you remember who you are when you speak, and you think, wait a minute, whatever the crazy thoughts are that are in my brain right now, that is not reflective of the loving, patient person that I'm supposed to be. So what could I say that is reflective of that? And speaking of, silence is always a fantastic option when you don't have the right words. Because like in the news recently, Mart, I'm sure you have seen, for example, Donald Trump. Not, I don't care if you're pro-Trump, against Trump, I don't care. But he is a perfect example of how if you don't realize the power of silence and when to shut it, you're doomed. Because remember how Dad always used to teach us the number one lesson that Dad would always teach? What was it? When it comes to
my boys are always right.
No, well, if the cops nab you,
don't talk.
Yeah,
don't talk needed. There is no talk needed.
Yep, there's nothing.
They've already got it, and they don't need any more.
Gotcha. Right. Because how do most people?
Kind of dad we had too. A lot of people's dad's first thing is like, "Hey, you should go to school."
Yeah, make sure to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Which I, of course, tell the truth, but when the truth is not going to benefit you, zip it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Hey, anyway, can I do a couple of shout outs for you, Dan?
Please do. Yeah, I know we have a bunch of comments.
Yeah, well, we've got Lady Lux.
Hey, Lady Lux.
She's coming in hot, saying hi. We've got Muppet 929.
Hey, Muppet.
Muppet 929.
Hey, Muppet 9. I remember Muppet 929. Hey.
We've got, I think a lot of these are regulars. We've got Mixtress Monica. Mixtress we've seen a few times. I'd like to hear what Mixtress is. Like maybe a mixologist. I don't know.
I bet it is.
Now we've got SK who's unfortunately working right now, and they will be back to catch this on replay. I wanted to thank you for the guidance. And Sam Ash is saying that what they want is love, health, and financial, I believe, independence.
Thank you, Sam. Would everybody, if you could, please let me know what, if you just had to answer, fill in the blanks. I am blank. I want blank. I'm here to blank. What would be the 3 words that you would use?
Yeah.
I'd find that to be very interesting.
And now we've got a question too.
Yes. Tell me the question.
Okay. So Evelyn in color is here.
Hi, now, Evelyn in color.
Evelyn loves your content.
Thank you, Evelyn.
Evelyn has a coworker who they got into an argument with at work because they believed they were performing a task incorrectly. It got heated and personal from both sides. I apologized once, but it was, pardon me, but it was quick, and I can tell it still bothers him. How can I make things right and not uncomfortable going forward when working with him? Because I will have to.
You know, nice drama.
Donald,
Good, Mart. By the way, can you hear this fan? I hope you can't.
Oh,
Can you hear this fan, Mart?
no, I can't. I was just
Great.
reading Mixtress Monica is an audio editor. Someone gave me that.
Oh, Mixtress Monica, we could use.
Great.
I could use your help.
Yeah.
Okay, so to answer the question, I have always used a very specific. I think I had to formulate it myself. I don't believe that I got it someplace. Way to apologize to people, because it's so effective. You can get away with just about anything. And I don't mean to say that as if, oh, you can do anything and use this to get away with it. But when I've had to tell somebody, I'm really sorry if I hurt your feelings, if I offended you, if I did you wrong, if I let you down, most people do not apologize effectively. And so if you have said to this person, hey, I just want you to know, I didn't mean to upset you and I hope we're cool. Many times after that, people will think, well, what is it with him? What more can I do? I apologize. I don't know what his problem is. Because we have to remember, when we apologize to people, we are not apologizing for what we did. We have to apologize for how we made them feel. And so what you want to do is, it's a very specific process. And it starts like this. Mart, like, you want to sit down and look them straight in the eye. And I would take the time to do this with this person, because you may think that you apologized effectively. Do it again, because there might be a part that you missed. If you didn't use a system, chances are you missed one of these parts. I'd say, Mart, I want you to know that I apologize for, and then you put how you made them feel. I apologize for making you feel as though I did not think that you were capable of doing your job. I apologize if I made you feel as though I believed you were incompetent. I want to apologize for embarrassing you when I called you out. So that's what you want to do. You want to figure out, how did I offend them? How do I think I made them feel? Did I embarrass them? Did I humiliate them? Did I anger? I apologize for making you upset. Even if you don't know exactly what the emotion is, just say, I apologize for upsetting you. I apologize for making you feel something other than I'm here to support you, if that's what it is. So that's number one. Then you say, because that's a part a lot of people miss, so you want to specifically spell out what you did. So, because a lot of people will think, yeah, I can hear you, you sound real sorry. You couldn't even tell me what you did. So if I were in this position, I might say, Mart, I apologize for offending you and making you feel as though I did not trust in your abilities when I corrected you yesterday, when I thought that you had made a mistake. So now I've explained what I thought I did to you and what I actually did. And now I have to tell you why I did it. And so that part is crucial as well. And it generally comes down to, I was afraid. When we hurt other people's feelings, or when we do things that hurt them, if you can't figure out what the explanation is as to why you did it, try starting out the sentence with, I was afraid. For example, I was afraid that I might somehow look bad if I didn't correct you. And, it might even turn out that you were wrong, but the point is, I was afraid. I was afraid of letting you down if I didn't correct you. I was afraid of looking foolish. I guess I'm not as confident as I thought I was in my ability. So you want to take it all on yourself and say why you did it. And then at the very end, you say, so I want you to know that I am really sorry. And that's different from a danger phrase. Sorry about that. It's not that you've already done the whole apology. So now you're saying, so I want you to know I apologize, and ask them to forgive you. But you don't say, will you forgive me? You just say, so I want you to know that I really apologize, and I hope you can forgive me, and we can put a period and move along. And then after you've gone through those, if you take the time to go through those 4 steps, I apologize for making you feel this way. When I did XYZ, I did it because blah, 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 and I'm really sorry. Can you forgive me for that? People will be like, oh my God, of course I can. And especially if you throw in, this is an added bonus, which I'm not going to charge anybody for. If you throw in doing it in their language, I have a course in my members only. I apologize if you were looking for some of my courses recently. I've changed the website. Oh, wait a minute. I have a banner. I got to scroll it. I don't know where my banner is.
It's a brand new. I mean, like, you redid it.
It's a new website. Hold on. DanO'ConnorTraining.com. Okay. New, what is it? Inner Circle.
Did you just write a comment, or has Mom now moved into the fray?
I am showing, look at that. New Inner Circle. Okay. So I moved a lot of my courses into that Inner Circle. So that's the only way you can get it is if you become part of the Inner Circle. But the Inner Circle is awesome. You get things like you get a monthly live meetup with all of the Inner Circle members and me, and you can do that anytime actually. And you get 3 live coaching sessions if you get a year-long Inner Circle membership. That's a personal one-on-one. So that's where a lot of my courses went.
Really?
I have, by the way,
wait.
Yeah.
Did you just say you're going to do a personal? And I know this sounds like I'm saying like what, but
Yes.
I mean really, you are going to talk to. Oh,
Yes,
cool.
I have not done personal coaching in a long time. But I have opened up the schedule to do that recently. So yes, you get 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with me, which have up till now been unavailable. So yes, Martha, I used to punish my mother if she would offer those to people. Also, by the way, there's a brand new course coming out that I'm going to put on sale today. That's called the Communicator's Self-Defense Kit. That is it's a tutorial for people to defend themselves against bullies, narcissists, gaslighters, office bullies, gossipers, backstabbers, and whatnot at work specifically. That's coming out today. So check those out, and you will find things like this in it. But that is really the key when you need to apologize to somebody. I mean, could you imagine somebody apologizing that way to you and you're not accepting their apology? But if you add it, that's what I was going to say. If you add one of the 5 languages, like Marty's language, Mart, tell me if this is true. I believe that Marty's love language is quality time, that he tends to see time given to him as a expression of love. And so he tries to be very loving because you're really girly. I mean, you just are. And so he sees, if he doesn't get that from other people, he feels like, oh, they don't love me. So that's the end of that. And so if I were to apologize to Marty at work for offending him, what I would want to do is ask him to go out to lunch. And at lunch, when I don't talk about work, but I just want to get to know Marty, I would then use that as an opportunity to say, by the way, Marty, one of the reasons that I asked you to spend this time with me today is because, and then I'd go through that apology, and he'd be much, much more likely to be like, of course I will forgive you. Now, for me, if you were to give me a present, and it has to be reflective of, I pay attention to you, and here's what I've noticed. That's what a present says. Just recently, I tell you, I got a present from somebody, and I wanted to shove it down their throat because I thought, this is what you're getting me after knowing me for all these years. This is what you notice about me, and it offended me. So don't give, if you notice somebody's language is giving and receiving gifts, don't just give them some gift that you got at the impulse buying rack at the grocery store, because that's going to, offend them. So you have to know people's language. If, for example, Marty's language was acts of service, I might wash his car for him and then say, well, the reason that I did this is because I wanted you to know. And then I would tell him how sorry I am. Or those 5 languages, that's an example of how you would shift your apology to meet the other person's language. And it's because, now some people will say, but that's very, that doesn't sound too honest. That sounds fake. Wouldn't I just want to always speak my language? That's ridiculous. Because if I went to China and I insisted on speaking English, I wouldn't be a very effective communicator because that's not their language. So there's many opportunities in life where we all want people to speak our language. We just don't realize that. So if I'm going to try to connect with other people, I want to learn what their language is and speak it. And that's an example of how to do it. When you apologize, when I say thank you, you want to do it in their language if you possibly can. And if you do that to our person who asked the question, if you figure out what their love language is, apologize to them using that 4-step process and their love language, their language of appreciation and respect at work, they will pass out. You will be their new hero in life. So do that.
All right, I will. Now I just because we're getting short on
What? Did it
time.
take a lot of time on that?
I just want to make sure that we continue to say hello. For example, and this is why I'm here, to make sure I enunciate properly. Sometimes you don't get everybody's name right, but we have Delinda Whitman.
Hey, Delinda!
And the Natural Roots Roost. That's pretty good.
Natural Roost?
Yeah.
Natural Roots Roost.
Roots Roost.
Hey, Natural Roots Roost.
As I understand. Well, that's Delinda Whitman is also with. It's Delinda Whitman and the Natural Roots Roost.
Hey, Delinda and the Natural Roots Roost.
Yeah. Lynette's happy. Sarah knows that silence is golden. That's true. Lynette is saying, hi, first time seeing you two together live. How fun.
Hey,
And there's
Lynette.
about half a dozen comments from you. So I'm assuming now mom's gotten on and she is commenting on behalf of you.
Yeah, that's my mother.
Jamie K here is, they're here to stop it. But finally we have a voice of reason. Lizzie is back online with Elite Therapy. And this is why I was going to say, Lizzie, I apologize for being here. Bad.
He tried to pass himself off as you.
Nobody bought it. And but this might be a good time. Aren't the two of you going to be doing something together?
Yeah, on Thursday. No, this is my fault. Lizzie and I don't think we even told anybody. We were going to be doing today another live session on those warning signs and the red flags that you are dealing with, not just a normal person with a bad day, but a toxic person, and then what to do. So we were going to be picking that up today, but I can be kind of a ball dropper. I have many talents. Organization is not one of them. So I apologize to Lizzie to Liz and all of her fans. We're going to be doing that this Thursday. I haven't even confirmed that. Did Elizabeth confirm that? Can you do it on Thursday?
She's laughing at you right now. That's the best I can tell you.
Okay. Well, Elizabeth, when you confirm, jot a note in here confirming when you want to do it, and we will do it then. Okay. I hope you can do it this week. If not, Thursday, tomorrow. I don't care. Whenever you want. I'm ready for Elizabeth. Anything? Any other questions that we have, Marty? I see we have 19 comments. Those must be.
A lot of them are actually comments. So I have one question because we've now hit the 31-minute mark.
Okay.
But it's just a personal question that I think would be interesting, maybe for some people out there, maybe not. But I happen to know you for your whole life, in fact.
Yes.
And so, question.
Marty's 10 months older than I am.
You talk. And so, one of the things that I see you talk a lot about is mom as one of your inspirations for communication. And on occasion, you talk about that. Yes. What if Judge Judy Were Your Mom by DanO'ConnorTraining.com. I get it, but I'm just curious when it comes to dad. What are some takeaways? I mean, I know we talk about the cops, but if there's a takeaway you take away from dad, and what is it? What's the biggest miss from his communication? Like, what do you miss most about? Is it a listener? Is he a listener?
We've talked about this before. How
you have?
I mean, you and I have. How dad, Marty and I were blessed with unbelievable parents, both of them. When mom was free, not incarcerated, but when dad, for example, he was, you couldn't believe what a cheerleader he was, and everybody needs a cheerleader, somebody to, no matter what asinine thing you do, to say, oh my, you did that, oh my God, that's amazing, you're the best, I'm so, that's way to go. Nobody else can do that the way you do. And no matter what, looking back on it, asinine thing Marty and I would do, he would always be there to encourage us. And so I think I apologize, the dog walker just came in. So what I got from that is, I know people, and I know Marty, people who do not have that, and they feel as if they fail at something, it's like the Fajan. Oh, by the way, new book coming out, the Fajan. It's kind of like the Fajan. We all have our own personal Fajan where we are afraid to take steps and to do things because we think, what if I get laughed at, or what if I fail, or, what if I get, the elephants would think, what if I get put back in that box and people were to almost kill me? And that's the Fajan in a nutshell. We did not have that. Like, I always felt, and I'm sure you felt, that even if we were a huge failure at something, it didn't matter, right? I mean, so I think if you don't have that, I feel really bad for people who don't have that, because I don't know how you could take chances in your life. So if you are a parent, I think it's very important to be a cheerleader for your kids. Hey, Juan, and be that, because that was, I think, the gift that he gave us.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right, let me just do a couple. Let's wrap up a little bit here. But Renee says she wants a joyful experience, time with family and friends, and financial independence without worry. I am grateful for meaningful relationships and my health moving in a positive direction.
She's going over the
over there. What's happening?
She's going over the personal compass.
Right. Yes. And did a good job, I think, too.
She
And
did.
so Andrea has a quick question too. Is
Yes,
there a
Andrea.
tactful way to tell your boss to stop being a big dick? Large
Are you
phallus.
kidding?
Well, she says a large phallus. That's nice of her. But I think what she's asking is there a tactful way to tell your boss to stop being a dick?
Yeah, there is. You know, I think it's very important for us to recognize if your boss is tell me exactly how she phrased that again.
Sure. Is there a tactful way to tell your boss to stop being a large phallus?
Okay. I'm guessing that this is a repetitive problem that she's dealing with, you know, that this happens again and again and again. That's what we tend to notice is that, you know, they are always doing this. They are constantly saying these things that are offensive, whatever, you know. So what we have to do is make sure that we are very consistent with
Remove the comment, Dan.
Huh?
Just remove the comments. I don't have the power to do it.
Remove the comments.
Go to the second to last.
You mean the ticker?
There's just some jerk on here.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. Let's see what he says. Let's see what he said. Hold on.
No, she's just being a racist jerk. That's all.
Okay. Probably a bot. So I don't know how to remove a comment. Oh, wait a minute. Who? What's his name? Oh, I see. That's really nice. Very intelligent. Hold on. Okay, ban user, delete their comments. There we go. Okay, so I believe that. Remember Crystal Dixon, Mart?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. By the way, Marty, good for you because you are so. Because wherever you go, people know that guy's anti-racist. So I better watch it. You know what I mean? Because you walk with that, people like that will show up and try to, you know, they don't have power, but that's why those comments were said, because you are obviously somebody who is so anti that. So good for you. You know, that's the first time it's ever happened to me. It's not because of me, it's because of you. So good for you, Mark.
I don't mean to.
But anyway, I remember Crystal Dixon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Crystal did not put up with any nonsense from her bosses. I would when I first met her. Do you remember when I think it was might have been the very first time I met her, and she came and sat with us because we were at a meeting. You and I were together, and I said to somebody, I invited her to sit with us, and then because she was all by herself, and I said to her something like, "Hey, everybody, this is Crystal, right?" And she said, "Oh, that's Miss Dixon." And I was like, "Oh, I meant this is Miss Dixon." And from the get-go, I knew, oh, okay, this woman, that's Ms. Dixon. And she let everybody know from the very first introduction that she was not to be called by her first name. And she would call us, you know, Mr. O'Connor, remember that? So I think first, that's key, is that we have to be consistent with our own behavior. And by the way we communicate, we set the level of expectation for other people. That said, some people don't get that message. And, you know, our boss at the time would probably not have understood that this is a person that they communicate and are communicating and vibrating from a different level. So raise it up a bit. So if they have not received that message to the person who asked the question, I think it's important to, in a time where nobody's around, because it's your boss and they're probably, if I had to guess, trying to form more of a personal bond with people, getting familiar with them because they have not learned the unfortunate negative consequences of that. So I'm assuming that their behavior is just like all of us, doing the best they can with what they've got. I would take a specific thing that they said when they're being a big dick, and I would pull them aside for a moment and just say, you know, use a desk script. Again, these are the scripts.
Dan,
What?
you're good.
Oh, geez, Louise. Boy, they really love that. Okay, so, and we don't worry about that. No one here pays any attention to that. So we want to let people know specifically what the behavior is. And I think a great script for that is our desk script. And we teach that in the courses. By the way, Mark, I think you could do that too. I think you can go.
I don't have control over it.
Okay.
I
would choose like one thing that they said and use the desk script. Remember, DESC. Describe the exact behavior by repeating what they said, maybe, and then give the effects of their behavior. Say exactly what you want, and then give good consequences. And it might sound like this: Mart, I'm frustrated and I need your help. In today's meeting, remember when you made that comment where you said XYZ? When you said that, I feel uncomfortable because that is, oh geez, because that is offensive to me, and I know to other people in the office. So in the future, if you could reserve that type of talk to your private time, a great positive benefit for people who tend to behave that way is to say something like this: if you can reserve that for your private time, whatever, we will never have to have this type of conversation again. Because they hate these types of talks. And so if you were to say, if you could do that for me, you and I would never have to have this type of talk again. Would that work for you? He'd be like, yes, because nobody who talks like that wants to be confronted on it. And if you do it in a very clear way like that, I'm not attacking you. I'm not making it a big deal. I'm not embarrassing you. I'm coming from a very professional place and spelling it out, making it easy for you. So make it easy for them to stop the behavior. And you do that by making it real quick, telling them exactly what you want, and telling them, if you can do that, we'll never have to talk about this again. Capiche? And they'll be like, okay. So there you go. And I really, Marty, your power must be very great as a force for social justice, because that is the only way that type of energy would ever come into this. So hats off to you again, Marty. I'm very honored to be associated with you and the power that you yield. So way to go. Is yes, Audrey, I think that, wait, that's condescending. It sounds like a power trip. Who? Are you talking about the desk script? Was that Audrey's question? Marty, do you remember?
That was just the question after, so I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
but I do want to at least
tell me.
I just kind of want to shift gears for 1 second. And first of all, I think Mistress Monica may have had the best question yet. She asked, "Are you 10 years older than, or 10 months older than me, or is it me to you?" So there's a little confusion. You can clear it up if you'd like. But
yeah, Marty's 10 months older than I am.
Yeah. Okay, but then there is a good question though. This is from Turing Going, and he says, "How do I get a word in edgewise when my boss won't stop talking long enough to listen?" Which sounds a little bit like a steamroller to me.
Okay, well, a steamroller would be my tactic for them. Now, of course, I realize every situation is different. And for the person, by the way, Audrey, if you think that was condescending, which I wouldn't think that, shift the words so that they aren't feeling that way to you. A lead-in line, for example, only consists of 3. These are freestyle scripts, so you can always combine, customize them to fit your circumstances. So you want to make sure you're using their name, your name, I language, put a period. That's a lead-in line. So it could be something like, "John, I'm concerned," or it could be like, "John, I'm frustrated and need some leadership," whatever it may be. Then you have your steps. Describe the situation, give the effects, say what you want, and give the consequences. Say whatever words you feel would be appropriate for you in your situation, and then give a good closing line, which just asks them to agree with it. So if you think that the language I use wouldn't be a good fit for you, change it, but use that system, and you will find your messages to be much more effective than if you were to wing it. Don't wing situations that are important to you, or you will regret it. Marty, what was your question? Oh my gosh. Whoever, Marty, you must be so powerful. It's just, it's incredible. So good for you. Again, I am privileged to be with you, that you would attract so many, negative flying monkeys. So what was the other question you said?
I think that the power of anti-racist activism in the Minneapolis Baldies destroying all racism.
It is.
My
brother was one of the first
generations later, apparently.
Well, but Marty, weren't you one of the first Antifa people, like, in the world?
Well,
sorry, FBI, that's not true.
No. I was in a group that I'm 50 years old. So when we were younger, there was, unlike people that hide behind computer screens, at least back then, people got out and did something, but they were not nice people. And so I was with a group of people that, when we saw racists, tried to make them uncomfortable. So I'll just say that. And if you want to look up the Minneapolis Baldies, you can go right ahead and do it.
Yeah, he's always been quite, actually, this fighting fighting force for social justice and things. By the way, I would like to say publicly,
although computer warriors are scary too.
I know they're very scary. Oh, the negative ones. Did you like that, Lynette? I have to say, in my life, I have frequently thought that Marty is like out of his mind. I did not see that there were issues like modern day Nazis. I honestly thought, Mart, I was like, okay, Mart, I'll humor you on that, but come on, there are, I did not think that there were these problems in the world that there were. And so as an adult now, I think, oh my God, how could Marty have not only done all of that hard work as if he was the one being affected by all of it, which, you're the top of the easy chain. You know what I mean? You can get away with anything. You're a over middle-aged white, American guy.
I agree. I mean, right. So,
right. But he's dedicated all of this time and effort to that. And so I always would think, well, I'm glad you found something that that occupies your time and gives you a purpose.
Some people go fishing. Some people go fishing.
And now I'm like, oh my God, he was right the whole time. All of this stuff existed and he was doing something about it. And I believe that that's important because we look at things so often and we think, I, for example, think that if I'm not in my right mind, I'll look at somebody, let's say one of the political candidates of the day, and I'll think, oh, see, there's cause and effect, which we talk about in our courses. And I'll think, he is causing so much negative things to happen in the world, whoever this, Donald Trump candidate is. And then when I'm in my right mind, I'll stop and I'll think, no, he's not at all. He's the effect. He's not the cause. We tend to get cause and effect mixed up. And I'll be like, if I can look at that correctly, I'll realize he is the effect of what's going on here, not the cause. He is not.
And we've got to, and while I really appreciate the words, I think we've got to start wrapping it up, but I do want to thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
But Marty, sure. Yes. You are a cause, because I think to myself, I'm the cause of Donald Trump. And these people, that's me. I have not done anything in my life to try to prevent that. And so Marty actually is somebody who I could think is the cause of great positive effects, which don't include some, current writers.
Yeah, but Sega Old School, back to our focus here, Sega Old School, Sega 92 does have a question.
Yeah, Sega. By the way, did I ever answer the question from the Mix-a-Lot?
But why don't we just wrap it up here? This will be our last question because we're at 47. So we're 17 minutes over what we normally do.
Okay, but what about Mix-a-Lot's question? I wanted to make sure to get it.
I'm sorry, did I Mistress Monica?
Yeah, didn't you say that she had a question at the end?
It was about me being 10 months older.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so here we go. I recently got suspended for 3 days this week because I got called out for bad communication and turning in documents Thursday through Friday morning work. And my boss and I got into an argument, and he had a list for me of XYZ and called me a boy and I told him he's a boy for the language he spoke, like fantasizing about the women on The Office, and how he wants to know how much sex and things and what my wife's doing. And I reported it Friday. I reported it Friday this week, and 2 weeks later, I get suspended for 3 days.
Well, I think when people start attacking our spouses, I'm sure we get a bit hot-headed. If those issues if those were real issues that you were concerned about, unfortunately, the time to report them is not after you are reported or having it, written up, so to speak, by your boss. If those, the rules are applied to everybody equally. So it sounds to me, if I'm hearing this correctly, Marty, that he reported this troubling behavior from his boss after he was written up by his boss. Is that correct?
Well, I'm not 100% sure I get that.
Okay. Well, even if not, I think that sounds like that was very unfortunate for you. I can understand the predicament, I believe, that you were in. What I recommend is if you find yourself in that situation again, as we actually opened up the show saying, say nothing. Do not say anything. Take whatever it is that he's put in that report that says that you were, what did he say that the guy, he was suspended for bad communication?
Yes.
Turning in documents. Okay. I would handle it like this, because I remember one of my first jobs, actually, I can't remember if I was suspended. I believe I was given a warning and then immediately fired just about right after that, from Big Top Bingo. And because I was talking too much, they said, with the customers, and that was my job. I was a floor worker. And so I thought that was, I was befuddled, but what I should have done when I look back at that, when they gave me that feedback, is you take the feedback and you say, 3-step process. All right, let me see if I understand this correctly. Here's what I did. Here's what I should have done. So if I do this in the future, then that would turn this negative report into a positive report. Is that correct? So you just take whatever it is, because here's why you want to do that. Everybody knows who the jerks are at work. And so if your boss is a jerk and he's suspending you or writing you up for doing this, whatever, I'm sure it's nonsense. That's not about you. So anybody who would see remember, that's always going to be an opportunity for you to show something. So if whoever the real powers that be are, and even if that's just you and you learn from this experience, if once it is known that that's how you respond to even the biggest of all jerks, that you say, right, you take the feedback, you say, is this correct? Then I'll do it differently. All right. That would just make you shine so much. And it's kind of a test, because you're going to be getting even worse than that as in the future. That's just the warm up for what's going to be coming your way. So learn how to do that, even when it's coming from a bad place and it's not just. That's what I'm trying to find the word for. So do that. Take the feedback, take the suspension. All right. And then during that time, I guess I'm going to learn how to do whatever it is I'm told to do. Or, if it's so outrageous, once the process is over, then, maybe it's a time for you to look for a different job. But you want to always, if you're going to be in that position, what a lot of people do is when they have a job, they stop putting themselves out there. You should always have your resume out there. You should always be in the public knowledge or in the public space saying, here's who I am. Here are the skills that I've acquired, so that people are always looking for you, so that you're choosing who you work for, not you're trying to beg people for a job and then choose you over the other candidates, which is the position most people are in. Reverse that. And then you can handle these situations in a very different way. And it won't matter so much. Trust me, it won't matter so much when you are confident that, well, this is just one option. But that's how I would deal with that. Listen to it, reflect it, or reflect on it, and ask, what should I be doing? Then do that.
Okay, Dan, you got to thank you so much.
You know what? Wait a minute. Hold on. He's got more. I reported it that Friday, and he says
Dum Dum again. Dum Dum's back.
Oh.
They went up.
I think honestly, I think that's like a Russian, because that's coming from Facebook. I think that is like Russian stuff. I think that's a bot, and it's before
either way. Let's get that crap all up. And so if you've got another, this is a good time. I mean, we're at the end of it anyway.
Yeah, we're done.
Cool.
So Marty,
what's next?
Marty, yes. Thank you, everybody. This was just an impromptu event, so I appreciate you for coming on, Marty.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. No, it's my oh God, what's with that? So it's a pleasure, Marty. I appreciate you being my brother, and I appreciate the example that you set in the world. So I hope everybody got a lot of it, because he's a spotlight stealer as well. One of his many talents.
Goodbye.
Bye.